thank you very much, Pascal, for joining us today. I really appreciate your time and all of the great learnings that you've had. So welcome to the Financial Fitness Program. So just tell me a little bit about your background, about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm an environmental engineer and currently sort of an environmental manager for an Australian mining company. So that's my current profession.
Yep, so a lot of fly in, fly out.
Yeah, fly in, fly out, travel. Because that's sort of the nature of the position. But yeah, been in about probably sort of 20 years now in the in that field. So yeah, enjoy it, challenging, but rewarding.
That's a good thing. That's what you want in doing what you believe in. I love it. So you've worked through the financial fitness. One of the things that you found in your learnings for the financial fitness program?
Well, for me, it was just, I suppose, a realization of the principles that they're sort of tried and tested and they don't change. Sort of, that was something that really sort of reinforced to me, just stick to those in life, and you should do reasonably well. The main one was, it's not what you earn, it's what you keep that determines your financial success in life. And it's just around that discipline, Sarah, like getting onto it and sticking to it and forming those habits, as much as they can be painful at times, but
definitely
they work. I mean, we've got our massive amounts of debts, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And ultimately it's changed our life. So the impact is massive.
Yep. And it makes a difference, doesn't it, when you've got compounding interest working for you rather than against you? It gives you so many more options.
Yeah. Big time leverage. Yeah.
And it sounds like the ability, it also enabled you for the ability then to be able to do what you want to do, something that you love doing. Like 20 years in a profession is a lot of time now. It's I know for me, I've had a couple of career changes, and sticking with that one that you love, being able to enable that and focus on that purpose, which is really good, because when the money thing's all sorted out, that's one less thing to worry about.
Well, yeah. I mean, we always sort of use that thing of oxygen. You never worry about oxygen because there's heaps of it there, and it's hard to imagine the fact that there's enough money there not to worry about it, but it does happen if you just stick to the principles.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. I love it. And so, what would you recommend for our viewers?
I would. I made this mistake about reading it once and then forgetting about it, but
yep.
Reading it and going over it again, and you'll know it'll reveal your weaknesses, and then just keep working on it.
Yep.
And the progression happens. So you get through that, you nail those principles, but then after that, you'll realize that the money will start accumulating, and then you have a problem what to do with it.
Yep. Yeah, you want to have a tax issue. Where am I going to? How am I going to work through all the taxes? Yeah, Chris Brady talks about that on the CDs, definitely. And having those choices, having it in so many buckets. I know working through in Australia, once you hit 250,000 in a bank account, they won't let you put any more into that bank account. You've actually got to put it somewhere else. And so where else am I going to put it? Which is a great strategy. And that continual learning, definitely going through it over and over again, because your situations do change. When you've got more money, you've got to apply those principles differently.
That's it.
Than survival, which is great. So that's awesome. And I'm sure that everybody looking forward to achieving that, and that discipline, exercising their muscles and developing that discipline, can see then the rewards and the wealth. So one of the rewards, what have you found as a reward for applying the discipline, applying those principles? What has it meant in your life?
It's achieving goals, and like you said, Sarah, it's choices. Like that's a really powerful thing to have. You come to a juncture in life, and you look at your options, and those options are very limited if the bank balance is zero.
Definitely.
So it's having choices, and not that stress of worrying about money, because one of the principles are like an emergency fund. It's very simple, but like these things are very simple, but then applying them is often the challenging part. But you have that emergency fund, something happens, and bang, it just comes out of there.
Yeah, and it's great to have that safety net,
Yeah.
that it's there. Talking with Jan and working through, and she said, it's such a relief when the car breaks, that because you've already got that targeted savings, that emergency fund, you can just go and fix it. You don't have to think about, I've got to rob from Peter and Paul to make this work. It's such a good thing. Yeah, we've been working through our targeting savings, and my husband's like, why have we got so many accounts now? Because these are all specific things. And he's like, okay, then, are we there yet? No, we're going to keep on adding to them until we get there, but this is what it's called. So I've labeled them all out now, and I've put little photos on them, and he's like, okay, I can see what we're doing now. And it's made a huge difference in that transparency and having that common goal with both of us working at it. Because you have family, Pascal?
Yeah. I've got wife and child. Yeah. So it's I agree. It's important to have everyone on board for it. Otherwise, it becomes challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've worked with quite a few couples, and one's putting the money in and the other one's bailing it out as fast as they can, which really defeats the purpose of it all. We've got all these little leaks that are small in buckets, and the result's the same. There's nothing left at the end of the day. So definitely plugging all those holes. Oh, awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like to offer? Anything else you'd like to say to our viewers?
Oh, listen, it's a bit of a plug, but it's a valid plug. It's the fact, like I said to you before, when you go through these principles and apply them day in, day out, year after year, you do have a problem. You end up accumulating a lot of money. And then the question is, as I said to you before, what do you do with the money? Because it's all about information. And I found the next program takes the next level, which is beyond financial fitness. It just gives you that foundation, like the first program, the foundation on the questions to ask your financial planners.
Definitely.
And all that, because mate, 9 times out of 10 they've got mortgages, they're not financially free, and you're actually entrusting your future in them. So what I found is that you get to ask the right questions. And what happened is I asked the right questions, and it basically it put pressure on the financial planner, because they weren't really fully aware of what I was talking about.
Yep.
And basically in due course, they realized that I'd outgrown them. So then they basically advised me to go and see someone else.
Yeah.
So I moved on my finances. Well, yeah, and that's what happens. It's that positive pressure. And then suddenly go, oh, well, no, this guy, but if I hadn't have had that, I wouldn't have asked the questions. If I wouldn't have asked the questions, I wouldn't have understood how much they didn't know.
That's exactly right. And we had that discussion with one of the other interviews, talking about that.
Yeah.
That financial advice from broke people, and getting it, being able to identify who is broke and who's not, because an employee is still an employee, whether they've got, like you said, mortgages and debt themselves, they're not applying their own principles, even though they're in the profession. And that next level, most people, the retail financial planners are in, just give me the money and we'll sort it out. So being able to step up and say, no, I actually want specific investment advice on a specific strategy that I'm employing to support my family. That's right for me, right for my family to move forward, because this is what we want to do. And, you're exactly right. The Beyond Fitness is a fabulous program, because it shows and highlights a very good overview of all of the different strategies, not just one specific. So some people like property, some people like shares, some people like annuities, and making sure that they've got that, residual income coming in. That's very safe, the risk adverse stuff. And the New Life Accelerator, you have a little baby.
Yeah.
But that's exactly right. Working through all of those investments that work for you. So being able to ask those questions, have that correct information to support what it is that you want and what's good for your family. I know, working through with my husband, we had superannuation, and they had like multiple superannuations. None of them had any responsibility for any of the other superannuations and for Kevin's interest as a whole. They were all about, you just give me your money from your employer and, you know, we'll do whatever we want with it with no consultation whatsoever. And, you know, that's the way it works. No, that's actually not the way it works. It doesn't work good for our family. And so making sure that we have that fund, that rollover, that strategy that we're employing for our family. So I love that. Yeah. And the Beyond Fitness, I love it. It's a great, one of those ones you've got to review, because sometimes the rules have changed. Sometimes this one's better than that one. Sometimes, you know, you've got that flexibility, and listening to all of our mentors and the way they've applied it too makes a huge difference with the changing marketplace. Robert Kiyosaki's got a whole stack of things that employed with that knowledge base, that improving of literacy. And so, yeah, Beyond Fitness is a great literacy program to help understand and navigate all the terminology. So.
Well, that's it. You know, it's the financial literacy. I mean, I'm an engineer, so I know and I understand numbers and all that. But I didn't really understand and employ the principles, and that's all where it comes from.
Yeah.
So it's just a practical program, and I wouldn't be here and be in the financial state I am now if it wasn't for the program, 100%. So couldn't recommend it enough.
Yeah, that's great news, because so we're stepping our viewers all forward. They're getting out of survival mode and looking to what's next, and the Beyond Fitness is a great support for that next step. Yeah, lovely, awesome. Thank you very much, Pascal, for your time.